everybody, Trisha Howard, aka Trisha Kicks Sass here, and welcome to the fourth installment of Dramatically Reading Cold Sales Emails Explained. So this is your first time to these videos. I break down the emails that I dramatically read in my previous video and actually break them down. What was good, what could be improved, and how to hopefully increase your response rate. Since I do talk quite a bit about personalization, I was really excited to do this episode because there is a line between personalization and creepy. I will be reading an email that was for Javad Malik, but also dramatically performing a voicemail that was intended for Mitch Parker. I'm calling this one The Creeper.
Hi, Javad. Saw you were quite the attendee. Ooh, a quick question. Hi, Javad. I noticed you have been, or at least signed up to, cybersecurity-related events in the past, which is why I have reached out. Javad, if we could free up your IT resources by reducing your time and money spent on the procurement and managing of security tools and alerts, would you be interested in a 15-minute call to see if this could make life easier? We consolidate everything into a single pane of glass that we monitor and manage for you. All proprietary tech, wraparound security, and won't cost you an arm and a leg. When are you available? In the next 3 working days. Kind regards.
So let's start with the subject line. I'm going to talk about this on pretty much every single video we talk about. Think about it as if you were a human saying this. If you walked up to somebody at a bar and said, "Hey, I noticed that you go to quite a bit of bars. I'm leaving. I noticed you have been, or at least signed up to, cybersecurity related events in the past, which is why I have reached out." So close. Now, we all know that our data is mined. It's pretty obvious at this point. However, don't call it out. It's honestly, it's kind of lazy. And on top of that, it just has an extra creep factor. Meanwhile, if you said, "Hey, Javad, I saw your YouTube channel and I really specifically liked X, Y, and Z video," that's a totally different conversation. If you're going to do the research, really do the research. He is actually a speaker and has quite a large online presence. And if you're not following him on YouTube or Twitter, etc., I'll put links into the show notes. He's an awesome guy. Definitely subscribe. It's got amazing content. Second line, sentence is a little long, but what I do want to point out that I do like is it is very specific and it does talk about a problem that can be solved. So that is very good. Good. Instead of assuming that they have this problem, asking if they have the problem, I think, is a better tactic. So instead of it being, "If we could free up your IT resources," asking them if this is a problem for them, because it doesn't make any assumptions. And again, it takes the onus off of you and puts it back on them. Let's talk about buzzwords for a second. If you do have to use buzzwords, like there are genuine reasons, maybe you actually do fix this problem, then as we say in stand-up, get ahead of the joke. Address it straight away. The company that I'm at now, when I first got hired here, I was doing sales, and we focus on nation-state grade cybersecurity expertise. With that being said, nation state has become a bit of a buzzword in the industry. So every time I would present to a customer, I would say, "Now I know that nation state has been mentioned kind of negatively as a buzzword, but it really is part of what we do. So I wanted to say that straight away," and then break down actually why it is true. When are you available in the next 3 working days? No. You're talking about how busy they are in this message, and then they go on to assume that you have time in the next 3 working days. You're contradicting yourself.
Hi, Javad. I'm just checking in to make sure you received my last email. Who should I be directing my efforts towards? Thanks.
A second follow-up, I don't really have a problem with. But This is where bottom of funnel, top of funnel, and middle of funnel content really comes into play. Adding additional context can help as long as it is relevant and again solves a problem and puts the onus on them. In all three of these messages, they're extremely I, we, and our heavy. Here's the problem with that. You're making everything about you. Don't talk to them like they owe you anything, because they don't, just like you don't owe them anything. They don't care about your quota. You care about your quota. You care about setting that meeting. What did they care about? They care about getting all of these things on their plate taken care of. If you can fix that, then great. But you need to talk to them as if you were trying to fix that problem, not as if you just want to be able to tell your manager that you got a meeting with them.
Hi, Javad. I wanted to make sure my last note reached your inbox. I know things can get lost, and I wanted to get back on your radar. When can I get a few minutes on your calendar to talk?
Following up just to follow up is literally not effective. Do we deal with this in our normal lives? No. Think about whenever somebody texts you, especially somebody that you maybe met one time at a party, gave them your phone number, and now they're texting you all the time. One, do we like that? No. Two, they send you a text and then you don't respond because there really wasn't anything to respond to. And then they continue to text you and then they just say like, hey, or hi, or sup, or any of that. What do? We roll our eyes and put our phone away. So why do we do this on emails? Every single time that you go to send an email as a salesperson, think about how you would respond if you got this. And I'm getting real fired up right now because it's so irritating. I know things can get lost and I wanted to get back on your radar. You were never on his radar. He's on yours. Genuinely ask yourself when you're sending these follow-up messages, at first message too, but especially on your follow-ups, think about that. What value have I offered them to make them respond? If the answer is I've sent them 3 emails in a week and a half, that's not enough. That's called you being professionally persistent. Yikes. And then the wording here, when can I get a few minutes on your calendar to talk? Are you serious? At this point, you've given up on the whole guys that you're actually genuinely trying to help him out, and this is all about you at this point. I got real triggered reading this email because as we discussed in our last one, Micah had a really good point where he says, you know, I'm getting a lot more of a tone that is being more demanding of my time. In digital communication, we are completely dependent on how the recipient is reading these emails. So when we talk about like I's, we's, ours, the reason that I really pumped them up whenever I was reading these is because they do kind of glare at you whenever you're reading an email.
Hello, Mitch. I wanted to give you a call. I saw you read my email, so would love to go over it with you. Bye.
So let's talk about this voicemail. Personally, if someone requests read receipts on my email that I have never spoken to, you're getting on my like block list. It's literally sales and marketing 101 not to reach out this way. It comes off so creepy. Darth wanted to say hi, apparently. Here's the other thing. When you're talking to security people, they have protocols in place to test links, to open emails, to sandbox them, etc. So you also just might be wrong. Now you've shown your hand that you're actually watching if they're opening your email, and it might not be true. That's a real quick way to get blocked. If I'm being honest here, I think voicemails are probably one of the least effective forms of communication that it can come in a cold interaction. But if you are going to do it, all these same rules apply. Make it about them. Make it specific because it has to be short. And if it solves a problem, then it solves a problem. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is all anecdotal how I would respond, but this is feedback straight from the person who actually was intended the email. So I'm going to read Javad's response in a really probably terrible British accent just because I know he's going to watch this and it'll be really funny. So this is for you, Javad. The heading was probably one of the worst I've ever received. It was just so fake and cheesy and it just made me angry. Even if I wanted to buy such a product, it would have turned me right off. The sender was probably trying to be clever, but it just failed. Then there's no apparent qualification, no asking what I need or want or any background search. It's just a bunch of names fed into a marketing machine and spat out. Third, and this is common amongst most of these, it's just the repetitive nature of the follow-ups. Dude, I haven't replied because I'm not interested. If you send me repeated follow-ups, I'm not going to reply. I'll probably just block you. Mitch did mention on the voicemail personally that it was just really not a good idea to follow up that way.
In closing,
personalization is awesome. It shows that you've done your homework. It shows genuine interest in the person. And it also just makes you stand out above the rest. However, there is a line. But both of these guys are like pretty prolific speakers. So mention that. And not just mention it like, oh, I saw you did blah, 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 blah talk. Actually listen to what they have to say. You might learn something for your next prospective client, even if they aren't the right people to reach out to. So watch people's talks. Go to community events. Even right now, there's a ton of stuff online. Always ask yourself, would I be okay if I received this? Twitter and LinkedIn, I think, are your best bets if you're going to do research, because doing your research is important, but stick to what's easily publicly available. If you have to really work to find information about them, they don't want to be found. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye.